Good evening, everyone. Time for a little online talk. My guest today, Liz Brumfield, the great-great-granddaughter of Clara and Robert Schumann. I am so excited to talk to a relative. And there she is. Hello. Now, please send me a request, or I try to add you. She'll be here soon, I think. Aha, and Sarah Fritz is here. Okay. Ah, hi.
There
Welcome.
we are.
Yes,
Hi. Always so
fantastic to
excited to.
have you. Oh, no, she's frozen. Do we have a technical issue? But Sarah is here. And can you see Liz moving? Because I cannot. There's always something with Instagram. Liz, can you hear me? Hmm. Okay, she left. I think she will return. So we just wait a little moment. Okay, so for Sarah, it was also frozen. Aha. Always exciting with those Insta lives. So let's wait a little bit. So everyone who joined now, we're waiting for Liz Brumfield, the great-great-granddaughter of Clara and Robert Schumann. And we had a little technical problem. I think she will return in a second. So let's try it again. We were very close. Let's see. You're moving. That's
All right,
good.
we'll try again.
Yes. And she's frozen again. Uh-oh. Okay. Liz, can you hear me? Ah, yeah, you're
I'm
moving.
here again. I don't know why it keeps pausing.
Okay, we just, but now it's good. I think now it's fine.
I think so. I'm not touching a thing.
This is weird. Okay. But I think now we're in the flow.
Oh, good, good. We're here.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm relieved. So, a very warm welcome. And could you please present yourself?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, um, I am Elizabeth Schumann Brumfield, and my father, Walter, is the son of Felix, who is the son of Ferdinand, the son of Robert and Clara. And so that's how I got here.
This is so amazing. Can you tell us how did you find out about this?
Sure. Well, I think for as long as I can remember, I've known that I was descended from Robert and Clara. But what's
Uh-huh.
interesting about it is that um, my parents seem to be more interested in just cultivating an appreciation for classical music generally than really talking about our specific family connection. So while I knew it was there, it just didn't take on the prominence that you might think that it would have. And so we had classical music frequently playing in our home, and I had the requisite piano lessons. And when there were orchestral performances on television, we would watch them. And so I learned to really enjoy classical music. but the very specific connection in my case just wasn't, it wasn't prominent. It wasn't prominent. So it wasn't until I was really, um, as a young adult in my 20s and 30s that I began to realize that Robert was uh, was of interest to those in classical music, and even then I was kind of always told that, oh, but here in America they won't really recognize his voice. He's not one of the big three, Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart. So people won't really recognize him. So I kind of kept it to myself, and um, and it just never, I never knew. I just never knew.
So
And of
when
course, Claro really wasn't mentioned at all.
so when you talk to people who were in the classical music business, I say so, you didn't mention that you were a relative?
Well, I really didn't have a lot of those connections
Hmm.
in the classical music world, if you will. And so I think that naturally would have been the place where I would have had those conversations and would have discovered that it really was something quite special to be a part of Robert and Clara's family. But because I didn't have those connections, those
Oh,
conversations never happened. And I went off to college, but I didn't study music history and or music at all, really. Um, and so the conversations just never happened. And until last summer, when
really? Oh, so no one contacted you or uh,
well, I mean, I knew of the connection, and I had the opportunity about 20 years ago to go to Germany and go and visit the Robert Schumann house in Zwickau. And
uh
so, I mean, I had an interest in my ancestry, if you can put it that way, but just never really had uh, uh, access to it. And so, um, so when I did go to Germany, I was fascinated by it, but then I left, and it felt like it was still a very localized interest. It naturally in Germany there would be interest because the Schumanns were German. And so coming back to the United States and not having a connection in the classical world, it just kind of faded into the background again. And and then I bumped into Sarah Fritz.
And was this your first contact with Clara Schumann also? So two questions. The first one, tell us more about this Sarah Fritz
Mhm.
connection, of course. And when did you happen to realize that Clara was also important?
Well, first, um, I follow a classical music station on Facebook, and so I would periodically, look at that, and they happened to post something about Clara Schumann over the summer, and it caught my eye, and through a course of events, they reposted something else with tagging Sarah in it, Sarah Fritz, mentioning her. And I guess it was a quote from Twitter. And I said, oh, she's on Twitter. So I went to look at Twitter, and the ball kind of got rolling from there. And I decided to email her and just say hello, and to thank her for all the work that she's doing, because all of a sudden I was finding out that there was a lot of interest here in the United States, not only for Robert, but that Clara was all of a sudden this person that I had never known. She'd always been just the wife of Robert, who played the piano also and composed a little. And that was the end of it. And so after kind of seeing what Sarah was doing and looking at her Clara Schumann channel, website, I just realized, oh my goodness, Clara was amazing. That she was able to do all that she did with her family responsibilities and the difficulties of her childhood, and then her marriage, and just all of the challenges that she went through. It just kind of opened my eyes to this amazing woman who I just had never fully understood at all the significance of her. So it's really been quite a shock, a good one.
Yeah. So Sarah showed you a new world. Is it like this?
Really, she did.
Uh-huh.
I until I saw her website and was beginning to get to know Clara a little bit. I was like, oh my goodness, there's a real, just an exceptional person here that we can learn so much from. Musically, yes, but just also as a person. I just was really amazed.
Did you do some research? So now that you were in this topic, or do you just follow Sarah and her information?
Well, I do follow Sarah, but I'm also beginning to look at other things and learn from other places. I'm reading Nancy B. Reich's biography of Clara, and have been doing some research online and looking at what other people have written about her, and getting getting to know her a little bit. It's really quite something. Um, and it's a huge, it almost seems like it's a huge undertaking, that there's so much there that's been written about her and by her. I mean, I haven't even begun to look at the diaries that are available, which will really tell me so much more about her.
When we started our chat, you said that you played piano, so not professional, but you played piano. Did you play pieces by Robert? I suppose so. And did you play pieces by Clara? That would be my next question.
Oh, that's a big.
Or
Right.
did your piano teacher tell you that works by both exist?
Oh, interesting question. My piano teacher did, we did work on Robert's Kinderszenen.
Hmm.
That was a significant part of my lessons once my ability got to the point where we could work on those. But Clara was never mentioned.
Hmm. Oh, not
Never.
mentioned. Okay.
Not mentioned. I don't recall her name ever being mentioned by my piano teacher. Um, and I also feel like I have to say I was a reluctant piano student, and being completely honest. And I think I look back on those years now and think I think I stopped a little too soon. I do wish that I could play better than I do. And so to play anything, almost anything by Clara is just unthinkable. Her pieces I'm just beginning to get to know them, but they're very, very challenging. And
Okay, so you started to listen to her music?
a little bit, a little
Okay,
bit,
and
yeah.
what pieces did you choose to start?
Well, I started, it's interesting, it wasn't long after I connected with Sarah Fritz that I stumbled across a special event that happened very close to my home, honoring Clara Schumann. And
Oh,
so I was able to attend that, and in the lead up to that, for those performances, I did do a little research, and spent some time getting to know the music that I was going to be hearing. And uh, oh gosh, I've drawn a blank now on what the main one was that was played, and it was just beautiful. Um, oh gosh, it I know it wasn't her concerto, but it was I think it was the three romances, and they did
Oh yeah.
I think they did the first two, and the rest of the evening was a tribute to others who were influenced by her music. So that was an introduction just to learn about not only what she composed, but how others were impacted by her. And that kind of got me thinking and really considering how, and this is kind of where I'm going with my interest right now, is to learn more about who was Clara as a person.
Hmm.
As a person, she seemed to really deeply care about other people, even though she had tremendous responsibilities at home with six children, and no, seven, right? Uh,
I think Sarah
and
will write us in the comments. We have the expert
yes,
here.
right. I think she had seven, and and the difficulties of just Robert's life, and yet she seemed to care deeply about other people. She set aside time to listen to them, and to even advise and eventually promote their work, uh, uh, to the maybe to the detriment of promoting her own work. I don't know. I don't know. But it's amazing to me to think of someone who was as gifted as she was and devoted to her husband and her family, that she also was able to care deeply about other people.
Hmm.
And I had someone recently tell me that she opened her home to likely a third of the pianists who were coming out of that era had passed through her home. Do you know anything about that?
No, but I think Sarah, she's here with us, and she just wrote she had 7 kids. So
Yeah.
here are the facts.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so it's really,
She was very kind-hearted.
yes, that's a good word to use. Very kind-hearted, and not so self-interested, even
Yeah.
though
But
you
also
would have
very
understood.
disciplined and very, yeah, she knew what she wanted. I think this is really impressive, or this is what impresses me, that she was a very warm and kind person, but on the other side, she knew exactly what to do. So she was some sort of emancipated woman.
Right, at a time when that was just not the norm at all.
And
At
also some
all.
sort of multitasking. I mean, everyone is talking about multitasking nowadays, but she had so many children, and she was a concert pianist. And when Robert wasn't there anymore, she did all the work.
Right, and I can't even imagine how she managed it all. I don't know. And I guess that's what makes her even more exceptional. That, yeah.
How do you feel about well, being a relative? Is this a burden? Is it too much for you, or do you feel pure joy? Um, how do you feel about this?
Um,
Or are you
I would
confused? How is
no,
it
I
to?
wouldn't. At first, I have to say it did feel confusing, because it was like, wait a second, this is my family.
Uh-huh.
How how can I have gotten this far without understanding the scope of my family history?
Hmm.
And at some level, it almost feels, um, I mean, it's a little embarrassing. It's like, well, where have you been your whole life? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yet, so confusing, yes, but not a burden at all.
Ah.
Thinking back on it, no, it never felt like a burden. It just felt like it was almost like it was um, just this, it was just very private because there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
to my knowledge, I didn't have a public place where I really could talk about it. Once in a while, if it might come up um, for some reason, mostly I would just get a blank stare back, and because people did not recognize the name, and that just kind of reinforced in me, I think, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, oh no, people really don't know about Robert um, and Clara. And um, so no, it wasn't a burden. But at the same time, I don't know if it was even a joy. It was just
Mm-hmm.
almost like maybe folklore, because it was my family history, but it didn't have an outlet in my life. And
So did it
now all of
feel,
us,
did you feel sort of weird, or was it a strange feeling?
um, I wouldn't say so. It just felt like, oh well, almost like reading something in the encyclopedia or
Ah.
online research, that it's, oh yes, that is my family. I have the family tree on my wall in my home, and I can see, yes, that I am in the line of Robert and Clara. But for some reason, it just never had the opportunity to really get fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now when you listen to the music of both, um, is there one music that you feel more attracted to, or is it equally for both?
Well, I think part of the problem, not problem, but the issue here is Clara's compositions are very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Very, I
Also
think
to
they're,
listen for you?
oh, not to listen to play. And so I think part of my interest is kind of focused on what might I try to play. Um,
Aha.
and so when I think about listening to their music, uh, for now, I'm more interested in the pieces that are a little simpler,
Mm-hmm.
but still quite beautiful. I mean, Robert's Traumerei is has always been a family favorite, and it's one that I enjoy playing
Mm-hmm.
very much. And and I just recently discovered, again, this feels a little embarrassing, but I just recently discovered his Widmung,
Ah,
and
yes.
and I'm I'm working on learning Clara's translation of that, her arrangement.
Mm.
Um, and so it's the simpler pieces that I'm drawn to right now.
Do you
Just
have a singer with you?
do I have a singer? No, I don't.
Because if you find a singer, I can recommend Der Abendstern from Clara, because the piano part is quite easy and the song is incredibly beautiful.
Oh,
Or
I would
maybe if
love
you
to.
find a solo, just a solo instrument that can play the voice part.
Oh, I would love to know more about that piece. Perhaps you can send me some
I can
information
send
on that.
you. Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Because I know how
wonderful.
difficult it is to find easier pieces, because I'm also not a very virtuosic pianist. That's my big problem. And I always wanted to play Clara Schumann, and I'm starting now to learn pieces, but even those pieces are really difficult. But I found out that the leader, when you really look, there are some leaders that are playable.
Oh, oh, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
I've been even considering the possibility of going back for more piano lessons to see if I can improve
Yes, absolutely.
my yeah, it's a little scary as an adult, but we'll see what happens with that thought.
You don't have to be scary. So
Oh,
I think it's about enriching your life.
yeah.
So don't fear for nothing. It's
Wow.
just, yeah, make your life more beautiful. And especially where you are,
Mm.
um, I can imagine how wonderful this would be to play pieces by Clara.
Oh my. Well, that's a very lofty goal, but I could certainly work towards it. Yeah, because her compositions are just phenomenal, really amazing.
What always, yeah, I'm completely overwhelmed by her first composition, so Opus 5, um, and even Opus 1, because she was a girl, and I mean, she was a prodigy, and it's amazing. She must have been a fantastic pianist. When you
Mm.
look at those music sheets, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I don't
This
even know.
level, wow.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. I have never considered myself creative, and I know that's probably not true, but in the sense of creating, writing music, it's just been something that I've not ever felt that I had
Hmm.
that gift. So to come across someone, anyone really, who has that gift and to the level is just amazing to me.
And
And
even
I'm just,
Chopin, he saw her works and then he took it with him. So
yeah,
this is so incredible. And she was a girl.
I know a young girl. It's not like she had studied for many years to develop it. It's as if she, well, was born with it.
And really, Europe just admired her. Fantastic.
Yes, they did, and they do.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I know Sarah would certainly agree. It's quite a journey to make her, to give her the spotlight that she really needs.
Right. And do you think what do you think that's really due to? The fact that she's a woman in a man's world, so to speak?
I'm, yeah, I think so. So with women composers, it's often like this. But in her case, of course, there's also this problem. I call it problem with Robert because everyone knows him and he's dominating the music scene. So I like him, of course, as a composer, but this is really a problem for her works because she's always compared.
Mm,
And I don't know if there wouldn't be any Robert Schumann if she would be more outstanding or would be more recognized because
yeah.
you know her pieces. So for me, she her music is very deep and dark. I don't have another word, but for me, her music is so yeah, it's always a little bit black and
Mm,
um, yeah, and I really love it.
mm. That's really interesting that you would say her music is deep and even black
So
because
when I listen to her songs like Lorelei, for example, this is such a masterpiece. I mean, she also has the bravura, of course. There's a lot of virtuosic pieces, but I think the the pieces that really catch you are those deep pieces. Also, there's the lead Ich stand in dunklen Träumen. I don't know if you know this song.
no, I don't.
It's oh,
You'll have to
unbelievable.
send me a list of your favorites.
Yes, I will
I would
definitely.
love to work down that list. Yeah.
And what is
Yeah.
really fascinating for me is with every female composer, the description of her style. Because for the male composers, it's no problem. There are a lot of books and everyone has written analysis and but for female composer, it's only, well, it's Clara Schumann. And I miss, okay, maybe it exists, but I haven't seen it so far. I really miss something like a description of her style.
Hmm.
What is actually the language, the musical language of Clara Schumann? And I think in her case, it's really, really special,
Wow.
very
That's a
unique.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question
And
because
this is maybe where I would like to talk also about your job in real life, because I think there is really a connection, especially talking about Clara and this deep and dark language. So you're a grief coach. So maybe you
yes.
tell us first of all what this means.
Well, I'm a grief educator and a coach, and what that really means is that um, I'm providing support for people who have experienced losses and the support comes through compassionate education and encouragement and insight. And I'm not sure if this is the case in Germany, it might be, but here in the US, generally speaking, we don't know how to respond well to other people who are grieving. And
Mhm.
so that leaves people feeling very isolated and sometimes criticized. And it can be a really difficult time for people. So I can join them um, and just encourage them and support them, offering companionship and understanding. So, but when we talk about Clara and her music, I just think about how so much of processing and working through our grief has to do with expressing emotions. And um, oftentimes, I think we all know how listening to music helps us access our own emotions. It can cheer us up. It can bring us down. It can help us to feel. And so, in a sense, music can be a really important tool for those who are grieving. And then I thought about Clara, and I wondered if her composing was not only it was her expression of grief, that she was pouring her grief into her writing. And that I even wondered what would her music be like if she had not
Mhm.
experienced the hardships that she did. So it's kind of an interesting connection there between music and grief, that um, we can listen to grief as a way to work through our own grief, listen to music as a way to work through our own grief, but the writing of it, um, and I wonder how that helped her. I mean, that could have been a pivotal part of her ability to even get through the circumstances of her life. The fact that she had this outlet, she had this place to pour her emotions into it. And and I don't know, it's just kind of really fascinating to think about that aspect of it. Um, I don't know. I wonder, what would it have been like if she had lived in a different era and was not and music was not at that time, if I think back before the Romantic era, which was the time when they were really infusing emotion into the music. If she was from a previous time period,
Hmm.
I wonder what her compositions might have looked like. I suspect they'd be completely different. I don't know. It's kind of it's just a kind of a really interesting thing to think about, and just thinking about how her compositions were affected by her grief.
I think this is really the point with her grief, because I said to you that for me her music is black or dark, and it seems like there's always a shadow, and I think this shadow is grief, because she experienced such incredible pain in her life. First of all, with her father. So
Right.
this is horrible. If you must force your father to accept that you want to be together with the man you love, and then she did it, and this man became sick, mentally ill. This is so
Mm,
horrible. And then he's put away. She's not allowed to see him. So this wasn't. Yeah, it's really a horrible life. And I think I really appreciate, or I really love how I admire how she got along with this. And then also with Brahms,
yes.
nobody knows if they were in love or not. But if yes, they couldn't live their love.
Right. And even before that, I mean, at the age of 5, to be torn away from your mother
Yes.
is,
And also you have to play concerts all the time, and she had stage fright.
oh,
So this
goodness. I
is
wonder
also
how.
quite
Yes, I
quite
don't know how she
challenging.
ever. Yes, I'd like to know how she worked through that, because that's yeah, that can be so debilitating.
And it was not easy at all.
No.
And yeah, I, I really admire how positive she was, because she was kind, she was optimistic, I think. Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my impression.
Yeah,
And
I feel, yeah, my everything I know about her at this point is still so new and fresh that they feel like just initial impressions, and I'm not even sure if they're right. But she does strike me as someone who was very kind.
mhm,
Yeah. Even even after enduring so much, really through her whole life, it just was not easy at any point. It doesn't feel like it was anyway. Yeah.
so is she a sort of role model for you?
I really think so. I have been intrigued by the idea of thinking about Clara's legacy, because we have her music, and we have wonderful musicians who are continuing to make that available to us. And we have some wonderful scholarship that I'm just barely beginning to learn about that's going on regarding her. And I wonder about her legacy just as a person, as someone who didn't isolate and withdraw, but it's as if she opened her arms to those
Hmm.
around her. And and that, to me, I mean, that's a role model that I want to follow.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not a composer, and not, I don't have others studying me from a scholarly perspective, but I can use her example of being open and welcoming to other people, um, regardless of circumstance. And that, to me, is perhaps the biggest role model of all,
Hmm.
is just
And she
how
was also
we.
a big promoter when you think of the music from her husband, and also the music by Brahms, for example. And I think also Chopin. I'm not quite sure, but I think so. So Sarah
I
Fritz
think.
wrote, yes, so far I was right. This is nice. And Sarah also wrote that there were many, many pianists who studied with Clara. And Christian is writing interesting conversation, which is very kind.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So I, you were talking about her promoting other people's music,
Mhm,
and I just, when I first learned that she, after Robert died, apparently she stopped composing
mhm.
and she devoted herself completely to promoting his music. And that I, that's just really amazing to me that she was so devoted to him that she set her own accomplishments aside to promote his music, and and as you mentioned for others as well, that she played their music. She wanted them to be recognized. And I think even some have wondered, or maybe it's just me, if Robert would be remembered as he is if it weren't for
I don't
Clara.
think so. Without her, no way.
Yeah. And that's just, yeah. Wow.
Ah, and Sarah wrote, I'm right with Chopin. This is nice. And
Uh-huh.
we have a question from the audience. So, do you know other relatives, for example?
Um, I know of my cousins who are also in United States
Mhm.
who were are all the grandchildren and great grandchildren from Felix. Um,
Have you met?
and yes, I have met most of them, and some of them I do see periodically. Um,
Ah,
but I'm more curious now um, to see if there are others that came to the United States, and even those that are in Europe. Where are they?
mhm,
Um, I because I just I don't know, and I don't. It's a little bit hard to even find that information. So I'm hoping that I may find out more about that when
mhm.
um, I'm planning to visit again in the spring back to Germany. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to make some connections then, um, at least to find out where they are.
I know one pianist living in Munich, I think, but that's the only connection I know in Germany. So if anyone who's watching knows something, just leave a comment. It would be really
Yes,
fantastic.
I would love to know that because I know that many of Robert and Clara's children did not have children.
Hmm.
Ferdinand did. He had the six, of which I'm descended from. And I believe Julie might have had a couple of children. Um, but beyond that, I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Here
that's
in the comments is I read from Peggy Schumann in New York. Do you know her?
that is my sister.
Your
Uh,
sister. Oh, wow.
yes. Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
Do you only have this sister or
I just have one sister.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. She's older
Yeah.
or younger?
Yes, she's older.
Older.
She's older, quite a bit older. Hmm.
A musician or non-musician?
No, no. I think she may play the piano just a very little bit, but otherwise, no.
Okay, but you can play four hands.
Well, we can try.
Yeah, there are some pieces I think that Robert wrote and Clara edited.
Oh,
Yeah, it's I think for children, so they're not so easy, I think. But some
yeah,
pieces from this cycle are doable.
yeah.
Ah, and Sarah
No.
wrote again. Yes, I think Clara's daughter Julie had three kids and Elise
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That would be very interesting, and I'm so curious about that.
Mhm.
If there are any more descendants alive, because it's as if it brings the past into the current, into the
Mhm.
present. Yeah, yeah. So could I ask you a question?
Yes, of
Because
course.
we actually haven't talked face to face before this, but I understand that you founded and you are the conductor of a female orchestra in Leipzig.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
We play
how did?
projects, so usually one project a year, because we're freelance. And so we don't have money, and we have to wait till someone wants us to play a concert and can afford it. Um, but it's taking place with one project a year, and it's wonderful because we play music by female composers. And we played Ethel Smythe, for example. And this year we did a world first performance of viola concerto by an Iranian female composer, which was
Oh,
very moving. And also the music was fantastic. So it's this sort of Arabic classical music. I don't know if you know this style.
I
So
don't.
the contemporary classical music in those countries is fantastic. I like it a lot. It has those influences and really, really beautiful.
Oh, oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you are doing work to highlight women composers. It seems like they have been, if Clara's any example, they have really been almost buried, forgotten, or
Yeah, and it's
unacknowledged.
unfair. That's my point. So I
Yeah.
think it's not okay to not play them because the music has the quality. The music is good, and it's just forgotten. And people don't know about it, but they say, well, if it would be good, it would be heard, and that's not right. And I also play chamber music concerts. And 1 month ago, we had a chamber music concert with female composers. The topic was female composers from Germany and female composers from Poland. And from Germany, I chose Clara Schumann, Fanny Hensel, and Emilia Meyer, and people loved it. So it's absolutely
Oh,
not true that no one wants to hear it. That's absolutely that's wrong. And I want to
yeah.
change it because I think it should be a standard repertoire, especially when I think of those songs by Clara Schumann. This is heartbreakingly beautiful, and I want everyone to sing it in the music
Mm.
schools, in the high schools, uh, in the concerts. This must happen, and it must happen now. I don't want to wait anymore because everyone
Mm.
tells you, yeah, you have to wait 100 years. No, we change it now. We've
Now is
waited for
right.
so long. It's time to
Yeah.
change it now, and we just all have to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing that work because it just seems like there is such a lot of beautiful music
Hmm.
that's not been heard and we
And it's
need
our
it.
duty. We must keep this legacy. This we have to.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
must.
Mm, that's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for the work that you're doing. That's yeah,
With
just
greatest
beautiful.
delight. And you know, my biggest joy is when I play a concert, or also when I upload videos, and when I see that something's happening. So when people like the music, or now maybe you saw it, I started this Fanny Hensel playing through the year project. And
Yes.
actually, I wanted just to promote the music and I want to learn the piece. But already now, so many beautiful things arrived because I had contacts with pianists. One said, oh, wow, now um, I want to repeat it again. I want to put it in my repertoire. I played it 1 year before. I want to repeat it now. The other, I think also pianist, wrote me, what is this? I will look up where the sheet is. I want to play it too. And this is so wonderful that people show interest and they also play it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this.
Yeah. I just think that music is such a powerful medium
Yes.
that if we can continue to just generate the interest and give people access, that it really can just bring more beauty into
Yes.
our lives. Yeah, yeah, it's wonderful.
And
Yeah,
it's about enriching, you know. I don't want to tell people they shouldn't play the music by male composers. That would be wrong. Of course, we must continue to play those works. They're great. But we absolutely must include the works by female composers.
yeah, yeah.
And so
Right.
this is why I'm on Earth. This is really my mission. Um, when I'll be dead, I hope that I did change something and that I did
Mm,
motivate people to listen to the music, to do research, to to read biographies, because we have to. It's not right when we just neglect those pieces.
well, there's so much that we can learn
Yes,
from people in our past but we have to first of all realize that that's the case, and then need access to it. Um,
yes.
but it would be a terrible loss
And this is
just to
really
let it
a
go.
big point with the access because it's in fact easier to get scores by male composers because they are so often played. And so this is also one of my aims because I think when more people play those pieces, and maybe if they don't find the scores, they will ask publishers, why don't we find the scores? And
Yeah.
that's really a point. And also Talia Ilan, I don't know if you know her, the female conductor with one conductor a day, great project where she's posting one female conductor a day with a picture just to show how
Oh,
many there are. Um, she said that also the audience just must contact the venues and ask, where are the pieces by female composers? We want to see it.
right. So just elevating the conversation so that
Yes.
people even know to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
When will you
almost seems
play
like
Clara Schumann piano concerto?
right, right.
When will it take place? We want to come. We want our tickets.
Yes. Yeah. Just to generate that interest.
Yes, and in a
It
positive
just
way, because I
right.
think nobody wants to fight. I
No.
actually don't want to fight. I think the music is so strong for itself. It speaks for itself. I just want it
Hmm.
to be played. I don't. It's not my aim to fight my whole life. Absolutely not. I want to do something positive and show how wonderful this music is
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
and
you're
encourage
motivating
everyone.
me. You're
Yeah.
motivating me. So that's good. That's good. It's so exciting to even think about just the different aspects of just what it means to highlight women composers,
Yes.
and to there's such a wealth of material to bring into the world of music that's just
Yes.
waiting there
You
to
know
be
what I
either.
think would be good for Clara? Um, I was recently talking to Hänsel Pushers, and Molly from Hänsel Pushers, she took the piano cycle the year from Fanny Hänsel, which is very difficult to play, and she made an easy version of this. And I would love to have an easy version of some of Clara's pieces too, because then it would be playable for amateur pianists or beginners. And I think it would help because at the moment, as you said, the music is very difficult. So you have to have a certain level. And if you don't have it, you don't have access. And actually, if someone's watching and wants to do arrangements and
Oh,
make
that
it
would be
easy,
wonderful.
that would be
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep. That would be fantastic. Yeah, that's wonderful.
So who knows? Maybe,
Maybe
maybe
something will come
we
out of
started
this. Yes.
something.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I can see Sarah's comment here saying that piano music she wrote, oh, has an easy version of a Clara
Oh,
scherzo. Is that how you say that?
really?
Oh,
Oh, that's good. Ah, and there,
ah,
Christian put 3 playlists with female composers in the comments on Spotify. Oh, wow, that's great. Maybe you must repost it in the comment of this video because I think it's only shown in the live chat. So if you would be so kind to put it afterwards in the comment, that would be lovely.
oh, that
Um,
would be wonderful.
so, yes, I have 2 final questions. My
Ah,
first question is, you talked about Zwickau. So you were once in Germany. Were you only in Zwickau or also other places? And you will return to Germany.
yes. I have, my husband has some family in the south of Frankfurt, in the Darmstadt area.
Mhm.
So I have visited there with him. And when I was in Germany 20 years ago, our time was very limited. So I was only able to be in Zwickau for part of a day. I wasn't even there
Mhm.
overnight. But it's kind of a funny story. We went to the Robert Schumann house there, and it was just a wonderful experience. And I
Did you
was
tell them who you are or not?
I did. I did.
Ah.
It seemed like it was appropriate. And they would understand the name.
Mhm.
And they did. And it was really wonderful. They invited me to play one of the pianos that is normally not accessible to the
Oh, wow.
public. And it was a very emotional experience. Um, but after we left the Robert Schumann house and decided to walk into the market for just to get a snack and came across the statue of Robert Schumann
Oh,
in the market. And I mean, this was a big statue. And
wow.
and I was just very, very surprised by it because I think that was kind of before the days of being able to do a lot of internet research. And so that was very much of a surprise. I thought, oh my goodness, right here in the public square. Um, but so yes, I'm excited to be able to go back in the spring, and I'm also going to be able to go to Leipzig
Yes.
and hope that we will be able to get together.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I told you I will show you around,
yes,
and we have to visit the
yes,
Schumann house, of course, but I will
of
also make a little
course.
tour through Leipzig because there were several places where Clara was because she was teaching and she's quite present in the city because everywhere there are little reminders that she was there.
Oh,
Yes.
that's, I didn't know that. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. And it seems like there are many places in Germany where the
And you know,
Schumanns
there's a
spent.
new Schumann house. There will come a new Schumann house in Düsseldorf next year,
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
in
I read about
spring.
that. Yeah, I
And
did read about that.
Christian wrote in the comment, you can visit the archive Women in Music in Frankfurt, biggest archive for female composers in the world. And Frankfurt was
Oh,
also Clara Schumann or a Schumann city.
mm-hmm.
So maybe
Oh,
a short
that's,
trip.
yes, yes, that would be possible as well. Yeah,
If you
it's
have the time, of course, because
well,
Düsseldorf and Frankfurt and Leipzig is quite a tour.
yes, yes, they're not that close together. but we'll do the very best we can. I'm really looking forward to it, especially with and in fact we had a different trip planned. And when all
Aha.
of this started developing over the summer and the early fall, I thought, well, I wonder if we should kind of change our travel plans a little bit. So we did. And and so that I'm excited about that. Excited about that to really look at all the well, certainly all the artifacts, all the archives that are available,
Hmm.
that with a new set of eyes, um, just with a better understanding and recognition of the significance of the international significance,
Yes.
not just the German significance, but the international significance of this part of my family that I just never had a hold of it, of what that meant.
What I really love is that Sarah Fritz is the Clara Schumann influencer. It's not a
Yes.
German person. This is so wonderful. I love this. This is fantastic because
Yep.
that's the Clara spirit, you know?
Right. Just to
Cosmopolitan.
Yes, and just to reach out beyond where you might
Yes,
think normal boundaries
there are no
are.
limits. This is
No.
Clara. This is so
Yeah.
great. Oh, and look, Antonio. Antonio is from Donny Music UK, and he plays a lot of female composers on the piano. And he writes, "I'll be playing my album." Oh, and now I cannot read it anymore. "I'll be playing my album of all women composers in Salzburg in July, possibly with Clara's Romances, Opus 21, depending on timings." Oh, I love those. They're great.
Oh, that's
Fantastic.
wonderful. I love to see that her music is being played more and more. And as more people
I
talk
did an
about it, it's,
arrangement of her romance, Opus 22, number 2. It's actually for violin and piano, and I arranged it for horn, French horn and piano,
oh,
because I'm playing chamber music with a horn player, and it's
oh,
wonderful. People liked it. We played it in Leipzig. It
yeah.
was a concert with the topic of historical female composers in Leipzig last year in 2021, and it was really great in the heart of Leipzig.
That's exciting. Leipzig is sounds like a very, very just an up and coming, vibrant city.
And we had the Clara Schumann year, so there was one whole year where she was celebrated.
Oh my, when was that?
Before COVID,
Mm.
luckily, so I think 2019, I'm not quite sure, but I think 2019.
So
And
that would have been
I
her
loved it because
200th. Yeah.
everywhere were festivals and concerts, and Clara was in everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I imagine that probably did a lot just to bring the
Yes.
conversation back to elevate the awareness of her name and yeah.
And
But
it
I
was
know
so
that
wonderful to see that it is possible, you know, that every second concert that I was listening to had Clara in it. And it was so fantastic because for
yeah.
1 year it felt completely right. And now it's again a little bit like before, but not completely. So it changed. Clara is more present in the programs, and I think it's because people just heard her music and heard how good it is.
Right. So people just need to hear it. They
Yes.
need to hear it. And so it was begun in 2019
Yeah.
um,
Ah, yeah,
with
and
a
Sarah
year-long
wrote
festival.
2019. She confirmed.
Yes.
Ah, yeah, and Christian is writing Leipzig was the most important musical city after Vienna in the 18th and 19th century, if I know
Oh,
this right. Yes, this is correct.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I'm excited to be coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be fantastic, I tell you. You will love it.
Yes.
Yes. And now, my dear, we have already been talking for 1 hour. I think it's slowly time to part. But before, I want to ask you the final question. Your favorite music pieces?
Oh, oh.
A hard one.
Well, when I think about Robert and Clara, I have to go back to Traumerei
Mhm,
and and my new favorite is the Widmung, of course. I mean, the story that goes with that is
mhm,
just so special that he wrote that. It was one of, I think there were 25 that he wrote as a wedding gift
mhm.
for her. And just to think about the difficulty they went through just to get married, having to go to court and just the brutal treatment that
Yes.
Robert endured from Clara's father was just so unthinkable, really. And just makes it such a celebration. And so that those two pieces really are at the top of my list. Um, and and I mean, there are Rachmaninoff pieces that I love. I tend towards the pieces that to gravitate towards the pieces that really express a lot of emotion.
Mhm.
And Chopin, Debussy are really my favorites.
When you mention Rachmaninoff, somehow I'm thinking of Clara with her big hands.
Oh,
Ah, if I would be able to get something, I would love to hear Rachmaninoff piano concerto. Maybe the second one, played by Clara Schumann. This would be awesome.
I can't even imagine it. Yeah, those huge chords. Yeah, yeah,
I think she would have been able to play it.
I think so. Yeah, I
Here
think
in
she
the
could play
Leipzig
anything.
Museum, there is, I think it's quite original, a model of her hand. And I think it's the correct size. I'm not quite sure, but I think so. It's
I
huge.
think I've seen that on the website. Yes, I have. I think you're
It's
right.
incredibly.
Wow. Wow, it's really kind of a curiosity to think that, she was born with that and what a
And
gift
I
she
think she
had.
also did a lot of stretching. I mean, with her
Oh,
father, he knew what he wanted, and so
yeah.
he made her, I think, do a lot of stretching exercises.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That doesn't surprise me to hear that.
So
Oh,
Sarah is writing, yes, her Opus 11 romances, very like Rachmaninoff.
ah,
Hmm.
okay.
Ah,
I have such a list of things I'm eager to listen to now.
yeah, now we have a
Yeah.
big playlist.
Yes, yes. You'll have to give me your list of favorites. Yep.
Yes, I think we will definitely stay in touch. It
I
was
think
a
so.
delight. Thanks so much, Liz, for this
Oh,
wonderful conversation. I really loved it.
thank you, Ava. Thank you so much for what you're doing to elevate the voices of women in music. It's really important work. I appreciate it very much. It's been very nice to hear more about that.
Big thank you also to you. And I encourage you to read more and hear more. And of course, if you play something on the piano, please, please, please let me know. I would love to hear it. And thanks everyone for watching. And so I say goodbye and a very beautiful evening.
You too. Thank you. It's been great to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye.